So this is the illustration from the book that served as the main inspiration for my Lego MOC. Descriptions of the castle include that it had spires, that it was right by the sea, kind of on a peninsula, and so those were the things I was considering when designing my MOC. I wanted it to be up on the rocks, and I kind of wanted to have a castle wall with a gate, as well as including this basic shape of the illustration, as well as the white stone and the blue, navy blue roof. I thought that was an excellent color combination. I also wanted to throw in some pearl gold to give it, that very regal, very clean look that I imagined the castle to have. So this is my first and only work in progress video. I sadly didn't take any others, but yeah, showing off what I've gotten done this week. This is Cair Paravel. I wanted to have some elevation on it, so kind of mapped out this path over here leading up, gentle slope to the castle itself. I wanted to do some rock work to give it some different elevation. I'm kind of experimenting with the walls, wondering if I want to have something different like that to break up the flatness of it. But yeah, here is my really basic rock work. I haven't really done any rock work before, so this is my first attempt at it. I know it's really basic, but I had all these slopes lying around, so I figured I might as well try and use them. Since I'm designing this for a display where people will only see it from the front, not too worried about what's going on the backside of the MOC. But over here, you can see I've got the two wings as well as some holes. I'm not going to fill those in because, like I said, I'm planning on this being in a display case, so no one will see the interiors except through the windows, so it's not all that important to me. You can see my pile of white bricks right there, just because I'm a messy builder. This is actually me cleaning up my mess before taking a video. It's usually a lot worse. But over here, we can kind of see I've got, again, I'm using some dollar store bricks. You can see the logo right here on these ones. You can get a pack of gray bricks for $1. They actually work pretty well. If you are in the United States, give Dollar Tree check them out for their alt bricks. But yeah, so this is kind of my layout that I was experimenting with. Again, I haven't really done anything on blue base plates before, so I wanted to try that out. And here are the foundations. Due to the size of the display case, I kind of had to cut some base plates, but these are also Dollar Tree base plates, so I can sacrifice them to maximize my thing. And these brown plates here also came from the Dollar Tree. You can get a bunch of 6x8s and 2x8s for $1, only in brown color. But yeah, I had to use a lot of them to try and fill things in. But yeah. Again, I kind of wanted to have these two wings, trying to figure out how they would come together here. Thinking about one wing having different height elevation than the other, just so that it kind of has like a step layout. Something I've been experimenting with. But let's come over here to the, this is basically the layout I decided on with the front gate and the path that leads up to it, going through the gate there. But why don't we give the gate a little bit of a look? So I wanted to, again, have like a castle wall as well as a gatehouse. And again, something I wanted to experiment with was building off of the studs. So you'll notice that this is at an angle. It's not at the perfect 90-degree perpendicular stud layout because I feel like that's something to experiment with and to really add some variety. But yeah, not really sure what I'll do in those spaces. Right now it's brown, but I'll cover it with greenery eventually. And then maybe put another wall on the left side there, maybe a smaller wall on the right. Oh yeah, here is a plate that was snapped by my kids, so it is a filler plate down at the bottom. Hopefully no one will see it because I'll cover it up. But yeah, so this is more or less how far I've gotten, and let's move on to the next video. Okay, here is the final mock. Still have to do some minifigure placing, but yeah, let's start at the front here. So this is the front of the castle. Wanted to have a giant rose window there, as well as showing off these two spires. I really attempted a rose shape out of the blocks there. Not sure how noticeable it is. There are the gates, the doors, and I really wanted to experiment with some decoration on the stone just to break things up and make it look a little bit more ornate. But yeah, this is kind of the front view with the towers and whatnot. So let's kind of circle around to the back here. Here are some of the different towers. I guess that is a little loose. Let me tighten those. But yeah, really like how this turned out. I especially love the variety and the different types of towers that I included. I feel like that really adds some depth to the castle. Really makes it feel unique and special. Over here, I've got the super giant stained glass window that goes both stories. It's actually really tricky to stay up. My youngest likes to poke it and make it fall through. But again, this is one side of the mock that probably won't get seen very much, but I still wanted to include something different. The front right here with this great hall is what I'm calling it. That is more or less the angle that everyone will see. And so I really wanted to add some decoration, have a bunch of spires, the buttresses, etc., to show that off. Because yeah, that's the main thing. One of the things that changed between this video and my first work in progress was I got an update on the sizing of the display case, and so I had to change the size of my mock accordingly. Not sure if you noticed, but the base plates, I actually had to shrink things down, and so I reduced the size of things and had to bring the foundation out into the water, change the rock work. There's a little gap over there, dang it. I'm gonna have to fill that in. One of my kids probably did that. But yeah, and then over here we can see more of like the smaller towers that I built right there in the front. Those ones are pretty cool, as well as the ones with the battlements on top that look a little bit more castle-y and less palace-y. Both of which are great, and I like them. Again, like I said, I wanted to experiment with some variation in heights. So even though I have more or less like a first story and a second story, I have different roofs. Like this one over here is steeper than the one right next to it. And then we also have like the annex where everything comes together. But I'm really proud of how these windows turn out with the buttresses. I feel like that is probably my favorite part of this build. But yeah, and again, this is kind of what it looks like all together, zoomed out a bit. It is a really tall mock, and so it's kind of hard to fit everything in the frame. But yeah, so kind of wanted to, here's a cut, came back another day to show off a few more things. I tried to have a lot of fun with some decorations. You'll see there are some shells from clams as well as some crabs just to remind everyone that this is the beach, the ocean. Um, but yeah, so this is my Cair Paravel mock. Um, it was a lot of fun building it. Really fun to experiment with castles again. It seems to be something that I'm really leaning into lately, but I love building things for display. So when I set out to do this mock, I already had it in mind that I wanted to show this at a children's library. And so I had to, do some brainstorming to think of, okay, what other castles are there in children's books? And so that's kind of how I settled on Cair Paravel because it is the main castle in the Chronicles of Narnia series, which was a pivotal series for me growing up as a kid. Um, while this looks nothing like the Cair Paravel that's in the movies, I kind of wanted to make something that was my own, based off of my interpretation of the castle and what it could have looked like. But yeah, so I had a lot of fun designing this. I did make a digital model, kind of, and then made it physically later. Had a lot of tweaks and revisions to my design throughout the building process, but I really love how everything turned out. But yeah, um, since from the start, I was imagining this being displayed at the library. Didn't really have to worry about the back being shown off. That castle or those doors got pushed open because, again, my kids play with these things. But yeah, so that's why you'll notice the back is pretty bare, um, just because, again, I didn't really need to show it off all that much. But at the same time, I did want to think about what it could have looked like. So maybe in the future, if I ever want to revisit this, yeah. There are some owls that I wanted to include. They're having a discussion, I guess you could say. Not really sure what they're doing there. Um, but yeah, so this is all of my hard work over a few months putting this together. Once I got my brick order in, it was actually a really frantic 24-hour build, more or less. I just threw everything together really quickly. I had my plans, my digital steps, and everything, and so it was pretty easy to put together once I had the bricks. I almost forgot. I did some extra builds related to Cair Paravel to include in the library display. So I have the Pevensey kids, tried to make some minifigures to represent them. So Lucy, Edmund, oh gosh, Susan, and Peter, the three kings and queen, or four kings and queens. Also have a Duplo lion, which is Aslan, as well as my interpretation of the White Witch. Um, but yeah, I also had to make the wardrobe, since that plays a pivotal role in the book. Wanted to include a bit of the snow scene, and I also tried to make a lamppost. Obviously, those two things are not at the same scale as the castle. They are just extra things that I wanted to include in the library display. Really try to push myself to make something out of the black bricks that I had to look like a lamppost. Not the best, but you know what? It's pretty good. I think it still gets the point across, and yeah, it's not that sturdy. Wish I could have made it a little bit better. But yeah, I actually really like this wardrobe. Love how the details came out. It was kind of tricky trying to give that depth to make it look like there actually is a snow scene behind it, but I think for what it is, it turned out really well. So yeah, these are the extra parts that I forgot to record that also were included in the display. I'm going to now show you a picture of what everything looked like at the library. So here is the main display. Wanted to have the castle down on the bottom shelf, closest to the kids so that they can peer through the glass and see it. Um, because again, I really wanted to uh, appeal to my audience. Luckily, the librarians were kind enough to print off this seascape to put in the back of the display case, which I thought was awesome. Really helped to sell Cair Paravel. So yeah, we had basically a floor-to-ceiling display case, hence all the extra stuff that I tried to fill in. But yeah, I've got castle at the bottom, and then next up, I had the minifigs as well as the wardrobe and the lamppost. And then in the second display cabinet, that's where I put everything else. Or this second picture shows off other things. So next up, I actually threw together really quickly the White Witch's castle, just again to fill up some space. And I have these little cards talking about my building process, explaining what everything is. I actually had a scavenger hunt for the kids because that's really something fun that I think every big Lego MOC should have. But yeah, and then at the very top shelf, didn't have a whole lot to show off, but I wanted to include the Magic School Bus because that was what I was planning on making for my next mock, but that's not going to happen. Yeah. But yeah, I still made a Magic School Bus that I wanted to include kind of as an Easter egg, and then the librarians put all of the books in the Narnia series up there as well. So yeah, these are the two pictures of my display at the library, and I'm really proud of them.